know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Mean Bug.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks
Donovan.
like Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.
Howdy ho, howdy hey, how the hell are you guys? Thirsty Thursday here on the Buccateers, 1 week away from the almighty NFL draft. Wow, time flies. Every single year it feels like the draft is approaching very quickly, and then the draft is here. Next thing you know, it's not. So we got to enjoy this shit, J-Lo, and I'm Tampa Tones here alongside the great J-Lo. And J-Lo will be in Chicago 1 week from today, but you guys are tuned into the Buccateers on YouTube or Facebook, and then you guys can catch a replay on Apple, Spotify, Google, and so much more. We have a great show, loaded show for you guys today. Plenty of mock picks. Special guest Joey Nips from the Cleve Me Podcast joining us for about 10 to 15 minutes or so to make the Jaguars pick and talk AFC South. We're going to talk a little bit about Kancey and if his status at last year's draft was a little bit of a myth or if it's a thing to see for this season. We're going to talk Bill Belichick hit piece. We're going to continue to talk about William Gholston's return to the Bucs, and we're going to talk a little bit about the In the Current podcast as well, or in the current episode, I should say, that got dropped on the Bucs YouTube. Speaking of drop, I'm going to drop the mic and hand it over to my brother, J-Lo, the man, the myth, the legend himself, the great J-Lo. J-Lo, how the hell are you, brother? Happy Thirsty Thursday, my friend. And it'll be our last show together until Tuesday, I believe. So let's make the most of it.
Yes, sir. Happy Thirsty Thursday. We're a week away, baby. A week away, Tones. A week away. This long waited time to come. And I'll be in Chicago flying in. And we're going to be partying like rock stars next Thursday. Hopefully not too much. We got to make it to the Bucs pick, but we'll get there. But at the end of the day, we're getting closer and closer, people.
Well, we got a couple things. First, that Thursday, we got to make the Bucs pick later that night. And secondly, Saturday, it's our annual Day 3 coverage of the NFL draft. The Buccateers will be live on Saturday for a couple hours Saturday morning. We got Rays Sox on Sunday. We got a hell of a whole lot to do as Canadian, our favorite Canadian, Steppin' Peppin stands into the building. We love us some Steppin' Peppin. What's up? Welcome in, Steppin' Peppin. J-Lo, quick before we're joined by the great Joey Nips from the Cleve Me Podcast. The new and the current episode dropped. Did you happen to catch it? And if so, what stood out to you? I thought it was pretty cool how it kept going back and forth from the playoffs to the modern day, caught you up on behind the scenes with guys like Levante David, Mike Evans, and so forth. Really showed you how Jason Light was cooking this offseason. And for those unfamiliar with In the Current, it's a series that the Bucs does during the offseason to keep you guys covered. It's kind of like a Hard Knocks, but the Bucs' own version of it. So pretty cool stuff there, J-Lo. And during the season, they do things kind of similar as well. So good stuff from the Bucs social media and production teams. What say you? I enjoyed those episodes greatly.
No, indeed I do. First off, shout out to the production team putting the shine on Jason Light. The man.
What Light cooked?
I mean, I'm telling you, let him cook. I mean, the man has made great moves. And if you really watch it, because I watched it very closely, there's points about how Jason Light got all the players back, you know, during the offseason before free agency hits, except for Levante David. We already knew he wasn't going anywhere, to the buck or bust. But for Mike Evans and also Baker Mayfield, I mean, this was the perfect episode in the current they could have put out there before the draft. So shout out to them. And it's a great day in Tampa Bay. I mean, this is a group of guys that want to win and they know how to work together. No divas, no nada. That's the difference. Other teams have divas. We don't. For
It's
once,
refreshing having Mike Evans and Chris Godwin at wide receiver, J-Lo. To your point, diva free.
agreed. I mean, Chris Godwin's going to be in his last year of his deal, but guess what? He went to OTAs and he practiced with the team. Tristan Wirfs. Some moron said, oh, yeah, we're going to draft a tackle, preparing to replace Tristan Wirfs. It's funny because he was at OTAs with Baker Mayfield. So what does that tell you? He wants to be here and he's going to understand the process, which I feel some fans outside of, Bucs fans don't understand that this team wants to be together like we did back in 2020, 21, 22. You already know how the show goes. But as far as the current, it was a great episode. You should check it out. Also, to throw out there, Mike Evans and his agent threw a behind the scenes for Mike Evans negotiations and all that stuff, which is an interesting one you can watch on YouTube. It's pretty much all about Mike Evans, behind the scenes, how he was going to explore free agency, but then he changed his mind last minute, talking with his wife and all that stuff, and Jason Light is included.
And do you agree with Steppen Peppin that Jason is the best GM in the history of our organization? I do agree with that. I think that's a great point by Mr. Steppen Peppin himself. That's very valid. Not a lot of competition, so to speak, but nonetheless, pretty impressive feat. And I can't imagine this team with any other general manager at this point.
I mean, look at my hat. Champions. He helped put together a great roster before Tom Brady. So you got to give Jason Light his flowers. You got to give him the respect that he deserves. Because let me tell you, a lot of fans were hating on him over his time from 14 to 19. And then we brought Brady in, and then everything changed. I'm not saying Brady was the reason, but I will say it opened up a lot of eyes on what Jason Light can really do and what he put together. He drafted some underrated players and all that. Yeah, he missed some, but it happens. No general manager's perfect. It's going to be misses, here and there. But if you look at the 2020 roster, besides Brady, Gronk, AB, you look outside those players, where they come from. Jason Light drafted.
We had a great draft. Jason Light has done great at drafting to build, to your point, J-Lo, but we built a great roster, and that is greatly due to Jason Light. His first pick ever is Mike. Yep, Steppen Peppin. And to J-Lo's point, they talk about that and so much more in the episode, and that's kind of how they talk about it in the current, how their families have such a strong bond together because of that specialty of him being Jason Light's first pick ever. It's sentimental stuff right there. J-Lo, while we're at it, we're moments away from being joined by Joey Nips talking Jaguars and AFC South. He's going to make the Jaguars pick. Give us your Seattle Seahawks pick while you're at it. Let me cue the music, but this will be pick 16 of our mock draft. And so far we've had a fun mock. Let me run through the picks quickly here. It's been Caleb Williams to the Bears, Drake May, number 2 to Commandos, Pats Jaden Daniels at 3, Arizona Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors to the Chargers at 5, Cujo picked Keon Coleman to the Giants at 6, Joe Alt 7 to Tennessee, Dallas Turner 8 to Atlanta, Rome Dunze 9 to the Bears, 10 went Fua, the O-lineman from Oregon State, 11 J.J. McCarthy, 12 Gerard Verse, 13 went the O-lineman from Penn State, the big tackle, 14 went Latu, 15 went Teron Arnold, D-back from Alabama, which leaves us at 16 with you, my friend. Where does that lead you?
So without consideration, I feel like Seattle's going to go more closer to home. With that being said, with the 16th pick of the 2024 draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Troy Fautanu, sorry for butchering your name, offensive tackle guard from Washington. They're going to stay close to home. This dude can play tackle. He can play guard. And I think it'll be a great, underrated lineman they could put in there with Seattle to help protect Geno Smith. I would have taken Michael Penix or Bo Nix, but because they brought in Sam Howell from the Commanders, I figured they can bypass that and go get, in the
Hold on.
future.
Nobody forget Will Gholston, too. We talked about him last pod. We talked about him this pod. We're going to talk about him more. He's featured in the podcast title. What more do you want us to do? Do you want us to call him and put up a poster and say, hey, Will Gholston? We certainly haven't forgot Will Gholston. We've been showing our love, giving our flowers to Will Gholston. So he's surely not forgotten on this show, sir. We've shown our flowers. But speaking of showing our flowers, we have the man, the myth, the legend himself, the great Joey Nips from the Cleve Me Podcast joining the way. Joey, how the hell are you? Ready to talk some AFC South? I know we don't have you for long, but better for brief than for never, my friend.
Yeah, and actually made some different plans, so I could, why not join the Buccateers a little bit, and I could do it probably a few minutes longer than I expected on this great show today. Yeah, obviously not excited to draft for Duval, but here we are. It's been a fun mock draft so far. I've been following before I was even on to all the way through now, and we're getting there. So I'm doing well and ready to go as we got Mexico. Then J-Lo joins us next week. So it's a hell of a ride.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun next week, and we got Mexico coming up. Friends of ours getting married across the border. Too bad they weren't paying a little more money with how expensive it's going to be, but it'll be fun nonetheless. J-Lo, let me ask you quick. Little shocked at the fact that you went, not necessarily shocked, I guess, but you went O-lineman to Seattle there. Do you think they're going to go O-lineman, and if so, how do they pass on a guy like J.C. Latham to you?
I said because to me, J.C. Latham is an offensive tackle. I feel like he fits best at right tackle, in my opinion. And I feel like why not get a guy from Washington close to home who can play both tackle and guard? You plug him in at guard, put him in there in the trenches. The guy's a nasty blocker. He's a guy who's going to take on maybe one or two linemen, take him out. To me, he's one of my favorite linemen in the draft. I know he's not going to land at 26. So I would take this man just because to me he's closer to home. He's used to the weather. He's used to the fans close to him. I think he would be the best fit to Washington, even though JPJ could be the pick, but I feel like it's too early, and I feel they're going to go with this gentleman from Washington, who I think
you might never know. Speaking of never know, we have the great Gene from the Buck What You Heard podcast, new member of the Buccateers. Gene, how the hell you doing, brother? Welcome into the program per usual. Always a great time to have you.
Man, always glad to be here, man. Sorry I'm a little late. Better late than never, though. You can follow me at Buck What You Heard. You follow me, I will follow you back.
Yeah, pretty much to catch you up, Gene, all we've done is discuss a little bit of in the off-season program. The Bucks put that out on their socials. It's like a cool little behind the scenes, so to speak, Hard Knocks, but Bucks edition. And then we made the Seahawks pick, or J-Lo made the Seahawks pick, I should say, offensive lineman Troy Fatanu out of Washington. And now we got Joey Nips making the Jags pick, moments away from that, at least, as he'll be bouncing back in. But Gene, quickly, have you watched any of the in the current episodes on the show on the Bucks social medias? And if so, what are your thoughts on them? They're pretty good stuff.
I have not. I normally stick to the local podcasters is where I'm at, man. I mean, they know, and if it's on my feed, you'll always find me on Twitter. Mostly, I've kind of been in wrestling mode lately, but I'm always down to talk.
Well, you're heel now.
Yeah.
So, you got to be heel Gene. You got to be wrestling Gene.
So,
lean Gene.
But I really like that, they're engaging the fans. And that's the one thing that I will say about the Buccaneers, that they've always done well. I remember the days of the fan experience where you could get in and go and get autographs from players and stuff like that, man. And, the Bucks have always done something to show their appreciation. Well, I'd say during the Mark Dominic days, not so much, but that little dark period of our fandom, was just a small size of what, you don't do. But for the most part, they've been very open and very accommodating for fans. And it's always fun to be a Bucs fan. I mean, look at what they do for the women, trying to get the female fans involved with the organization as well. I just love this organization. And I know I sound biased, but that's because I am biased.
Hey, why not be biased, especially to the great 813 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, City of Champs, Tampa Bay, something that Jacksonville's not that familiar with. And speaking of Jacksonville, we have Joey Nips on the program making the Jaguars pick here for Jacksonville. As you cue the music right there, I love it. We got general manager from the Jaguars coming, our AFC South guy. And we're going to talk a little bit more AFC South. Last episode, we talked Colts. This one, we're going to talk to 3 other teams quickly. We don't have a lot of time tonight. But, Joey, if you're the Jaguars GM, pick number 17, what are we going with?
And Duval Nation on the pick here, pick 17. This is why I drafted a cornerback to the Colts, because you look at what the Jacksonville Jaguars have done to this point. They lost a receiver. Trevor Lawrence struggled a little bit more last season. How do you replenish that? You get a man who caught 17 touchdowns last year. So with the 17th pick and 17 touchdowns, the Jacksonville Jaguars will select Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU, to match up with Christian Kirk and those boys. Because I'll tell you, Lawrence, it was a down year. He was a little banged up. He needs to have a bounce back, prove it year. He was drafted number 1. People can't forget that. This is a big year for the Jaguars and everything going around there. So Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver, LSU.
And do you think that's a theme for the AFC South? A lot of good young wide receivers there. We did see Calvin Ridley flip over to Tennessee. But out of those 2 teams, Tennessee, Jacksonville, who do you see making the bigger step towards the playoffs this season? Jacksonville had a bad end of last year, whereas Tennessee kind of looked on the bright side with Will Levis a little bit. Being in that AFC South, who scares you more for the foreseeable future there?
Definitely Jacksonville for now. And that doesn't mean I think they're trending up necessarily. They've collapsed the last 2 seasons in a sense. Now, they had that historic run a couple of years ago, then lost to the Chiefs. But ever since that point, they're disappointing. They lost a lot of games last year when they needed to win, including Tennessee in week 18, where they could have made a playoff push, and they decided not to and lose. So that being said, I'm still giving the edge to Jacksonville because they have Trevor Lawrence, right? Will Levis has not proven much. In fact, more bad than good, even though it was a rookie season to me. You lose Derrick Henry in Tennessee. Do not forget about that monster. People are going to forget about him in Baltimore. That's a huge move for the Baltimore Ravens, a massive move. So I'm still on Jacksonville as a team that could be 500. Of course, obviously, I think Houston and Indy will be better, but I'm still more scared of Jacksonville because Tennessee, there's just too many unproven parts.
Yeah, then you got Houston. What's cooking for them?
I know that to jump in here real quick. I just based on what Houston has done, and Joey, this is for you. What Houston did last year, that quarterback was unflappable. He was getting hit, and normally rookie quarterbacks don't hold up like what we saw. And I'm just taking away, I'm not talking about his physical attributes. I'm talking about his mental attributes and just what he was able to do with the amount of talent that he had on that team. And they've done some amazing upgrades. And if they can get those guys implemented into that system and everybody's on the same page, I mean, they're a very scary team. I just wonder, what is it about Houston that you think Jacksonville is a little bit more scary than a team like a Houston Texans?
Well, actually, I do think Houston is. He asked me Titans or Jags, and
I'm sorry.
But I want to add on to your great point that you brought up, though. It's a good one because, they had enough talent on that team, especially young talent, right? They had Tank Dell, Nico Collins. What did they do? They didn't stop. They had Joe Mixon, perfect running back for their system to me. You bring in Stephon Diggs. I'm not a huge fan, but the stats show otherwise. That's another weapon for CJ Stroud. So to keep it short and simple, if CJ Stroud takes the next step up, I think Houston is going to be a that team can be as scary as anybody. And I have no problem saying they could go toe-to-toe with the Chiefs as long as C.J. Stroud stays healthy and takes the next step forward.
Yeah, I think so. And the Texans, Gene, great minds think alike. I was going to bring them up next. I did ask him Tennessee or Jacksonville there, presuming that he'd say Houston is a top competitor. So the dominoes fell how I would pretty much predict it too. J-Lo, you got any AFC South questions for the great Joey Nips before we get to Huncho and then wrap up with their great guests?
So, as a Colts fan, besides Houston, who do you fear more, Jacksonville or Tennessee?
I just asked him.
Oh, you beat me to it. Okay.
We already talked. Come on, pay attention here.
Let me say this though about the AFC South, since we're giving J-Lo the thumbs down on that question.
Yeah,
no, you're rolling. Shut your mouth. I'm a guest here, but I know how to handle this role too.
I know.
Paul Heyman's in my corner. But the AFC South is a division that, hey, diehard fan here, you pass up those games. Those are the Thursday night games that nobody's really paying attention to outside of fantasy and their bets. Jaguars, Titans, Colts, Texans. People have lost sight of this division. But I'll tell you right now, with the quarterbacks, pick number 1 in Trevor Lawrence, pick number 2 in C.J. Stroud, pick number 4 in Anthony Richardson.
I think we might be losing Joey Nips a little bit. Internet's breaking up, it seems, there potentially. We'll see if we could get him back. Joey, you're lagging a little bit on our end. I think we have you back now.
What the hell is going on? I joined an episode and it all goes to shit. I think that's what happened. Sometimes that goes that way. But I'm just saying, these teams will pass you by in the AFC South. It's all about the quarterbacks. And if Anthony Richardson stays healthy, I said it on the last show, I'll say it again. This team will win the division. He is the combination of Lamar Jackson on the bottom half and a combination of Big Ben on the top half with his rocket arm. And if that could be sustainable for a full season, as much as I love C.J. Stroud, and obviously there's some bias here, I think him and Jonathan Taylor is the scariest duo in any backfield in the National Football League, if healthy.
Yeah, that definitely is. Jonathan Taylor, often offensive player of the year contender, when healthy out there. Hell of a running back, one of the best, if not the top runner in the game, alongside Anthony Richardson. Great to see as well. Huncho, how you doing? Better late than never. And do you have any AFC South questions for Joey Nips while he's booling around with the Buccateers?
Hey, what's going on? No introduction needed, but you know the man is here. The man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, Huncho. All right, y'all, don't go crazy. But
Yeah, no one's going crazy. Hurry it up. Let's go, bro.
Clearly, no, I really don't have no questions about the AFC South, but yeah, let's go.
Hey, you know what? Since nobody has questions, let me leave you guys with this, and I'll get the hell out of here.
Hey, Joey, real quick.
Yeah, Gene has him. I mean, J-Lo and Huncho, it's like they must be playing whack-a-mole or something. One asked a repeat, one had no question. It's like, come on.
Real quick, this is something that just kind of popped in my head.
Go ahead.
This just popped into my head. Do you look at this division right now, kind of like the NFC South was, where all the teams were dangerous and you couldn't overlook them? Because I look at a lot of the improvements that a lot of these teams have had. And a lot of these teams, you know, you can't overlook them. If you're facing the Titans on a Sunday, you better be preparing your team to face the Titans on a Sunday. The same with any of the other 3 teams in that division. They just seem kind of, I want to say sneaky scary, but do you kind of look at them that way where they could go in there and ruin somebody's whole season, you know, just if they're dependent on these games?
I think he might be frozen again. That looks like a vicious thought there, though.
Oh,
we have you back. What the hell's going on with you, man? Pay your internet bill.
Pay your internet bill, and I got to stop watching porn, I guess. My Lord. But at the end of the day here, this division, the meat and the potatoes are there. There's nobody who's going to get 14 wins, but there's nobody who's going to lose 14 games either. You can, like you said about the Titans, you can't just take them for granted when you go to Tennessee. That team will beat you up. Also, as I mentioned, with the other 3 quarterbacks, Are you telling me if you face Richardson, Stroud, or Lawrence, that's an easy day at the office? It never is going to be. And what people think is a loaded AFC, I actually think the AFC West is a little skeptical outside of Kansas City. What's going to happen with the Jets, what's going to happen with the Dolphins after their playoff loss. So the AFC South could become the most dangerous division in the AFC for the first time in maybe 20 years.
Yeah, and Joey, I got another question for you since J-Lo and Huncho were playing whack-a-mole before we let you go. However, it's got to be here. But since Houston doesn't have a first-round pick, they obviously spread it all out and about last season. They made many trades to go up and get him. Who do you see as Houston's first pick? I know we haven't talked about him yet, but with their first pick, whenever that may come for them, where do you see the Texans going?
Connor.
Yeah, as much as I would love to choose. I mean, to me, they did enough on offense. They had Dalton Schultz already. They had the receivers. They got Diggs and Mixon. If they want to add to the offensive line, that could be a good idea to add the offensive line. At the same time, though, they could use a little bit, and you can never have enough pass rushers. Add on to that. But at the same time, protect C.J. Stroud. I would say go offensive line. There's a lot of depth there. Instead of towards the top, besides Joe Alt and maybe the Penn State guy or that may have you, a lot of depth, go all line. Protect.
Yeah, as you're in out all about. Joey, if we get last word from you before you go pay your internet bill, it's been that type of show. What's your last word about Cleve Me, the podcast? What do we got coming up?
Finally, Cleve Me is back. Cleveland has returned from his break. We will be dropping an episode tonight. Actually, be on the look for that at Cleve Me on our Twitter and more. And then, honestly, as we already get closer to the next pay-per-view, which will be Backlash, hope to bring all three of you fellas back on and talk about where we're at in the state of WWE and all things wrestling. Because let's not forget, there might be one big promotion, but there's 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, 8 to pay attention to. See y'all soon.
Two big promotions. I'll fix it on that.
Did you see the tweet I sent out that showed the UFC, WWE, AEW in that order and how much their value is?
Yeah, actually, Tone sent it to us in a chat as well today. And look at how far boxing has fallen, right? I mean,
it needed to.
Yeah, wrestling and is taking over, quite frankly. Now, people love the UFC because it's real fighting, as they like to say. Whatever. We'll take our wrestling, the $6.8 billion and the $2 billion for AEW, and we'll compete with anybody. Wrestling is going in people's houses. That's never been before. It's bigger and better than ever as part of the TKO Paul Levesque era. And to end it, I'm a Paul Levesque guy.
That's the great Joey Nips right there.
Sorry, I've been fighting with my
where
internet
noises keep spurting onto the screen.
Jesus,
but
what's
Joey,
going on?
I don't know.
I guess I got to stop watching porn too. Shit,
all right, things are getting weird. We're gonna have to mute Huncho. He's in timeout. Thank you, Joey, for joining the program. A lot of porn talk tonight. Jeez, Aloo, for better for worse here on the Buccateers. A lot of heads in the gutter heading into the weekend. That's all right here on the program. The great Joey Nips joined the show. Fun couple of episodes, chatting AFC South with him. A lot of good AFC talk. We're going to stick with the AFC here, as I got the Bengals pick, the Bengals on the program. And this is a tough one because the Bengals could go multiple ways here. If they end up dumping T. Higgins, which is, JC Allen pulling a fast one from the great Twitter from X. All you see on that,
you need to block that thought bot right there.
Yeah, we're blocking you, JC. No, but really the Bengals could go multiple directions, right? It depends if T. Higgins remains a part of their team or not. Moving forward really depends what they do there. And T. Higgins could be a guy moved on draft night. He's one of 2 players that got the franchise tag this year that haven't got extended yet. The other being Antoine Winfield. Well, we know that Winfield is surely going nowhere. So I'm telling you what, with the Bengals pick, with pick number 18 in this NFL draft 2024, I'm going to go with Brock Bowers here for the Bengals. I think they give Joe Burrow another weapon. They lost Joe Mixon this offseason. They lost Boyd this offseason. They might be losing Higgins this offseason. They need more star power to help surround Joe Burrow. Therefore, I'm going Brock Bowers, the very prolific tight end / receiver / whatever the hell you want to call him, from the great school of Georgia. Very good value pick there for the Cincinnati Bengals, I believe. Hunch, if you're done looking at porn or talking porn, brother, I think you're on the clock with the Rams pick.
Sorry, Tones, I missed you.
No, hey, you're better. I'll take it. We'll just revert. If you're listening, pretend that sound played a minute ago or so. Huncho, do we have you for the Rams pick, brother?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. Well, lay it on us.
Oh, okay. With the pick of the Rams, I go with Byron Murphy second from Texas.
The big lineman you're going with.
Yeah. They're gonna need some D-line help with losing Aaron Donald. You know, he's a little bigger than Aaron Donald, but I think he could come in and plug and play right now. He was a all defensive, all pro college last year. So yeah, I think he'll come in and he's definitely gonna help them generate some pass rush and with the run stop too. I don't know if he's going to play at that size in the NFL, but we yet to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and he looks like a physical specimen. Gene, go ahead, brother.
You know what? The Rams are going to be a problem. If the Rams are healthy, the Rams are going to be a problem next year. If they could bring everybody out back 100% healthy, they're going to present a problem for a lot of teams. And if you're overlooking them and you're looking at what they did at the front end of the season last year, you're mistaken. You're fooling yourself, because this team is legit, and they're going to sneak up on a lot of people just based on the performance from last year. I promise you that.
Wouldn't put it past me, Gene. I think that's a really good point. I think Rams had even though they got bounced around one, I still think they had an underrated performance last season. I think a lot of people kind of were writing the Rams off as kind of going to be on the downfall, but last year they impressed me mightily. They impressed me heavily. I was very impressed with what McVay was able to do last season, because let's be honest, Cooper Kupp really didn't have a Cooper Kupp type of season for that Rams team, and they still produced like that. I mean, they brought Kyron Williams out of nowhere, right? I mean, that guy was always a decent running back, but last year he was incredible. Aaron Donald's now retired, but guess what? No knock on him. Aaron Donald really didn't have an Aaron Donald type season last year, so that frees up more money for the Rams, whether it's this year or next year, to spend. And I think Byron Murphy is a great step towards replacing,
And while we're on the subject of Aaron Donald, I think we'll be talking about Kancey a whole lot this year. Just FYI.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking about Kancey. And Gene, I'm glad you brought him up, because I wanted to bring this up. Last year, Kancey, one of those guys that kind of went under the radar for the Bucs. Speaking of under the radar, if you are watching the Buccateers on YouTube right now, don't remain under the radar. Hit that like button, turn that subscribe button on, turn that notification bell on. Same, I know we're not linked to Buck What You Heard, but we usually are. Same if you're watching on Buck What You Heard.
You know what? I'm looking at this stupid blue box up here, and I'm like, why didn't I push that?
No worries, brother. And you guys might be seeing a lot of Gene from Buck What You Heard. On Monday, he's going to be doing a Buccateers takeover yet again. We appreciate that. Gene will be there. I think J-Lo, maybe some other guys as well. But under the radar, I think the Rams very much hung under the radar last year, guys. And I don't know if that happens again this year. Aaron Donald, again, I know he's retired now, but Byron Murphy would be a hell of a replacement there. And Kancey, not comparing him to Aaron Donald by any means, but very much so looks like a prolific player, very much looks so someone who can compete on the Aaron Donald type of level. He hung under the radar last year during the first round of the draft, right? You didn't hear a lot of Bucks in his name connections. And I think that's what's great about general manager Jason Light and head coach Todd Bowles and the rest of that front office, Jacqueline Davidson, and all those great souls up there, John Spytek and the rest of them guys. But I think Elijah Kancey may lead by sample, and we've seen it in later rounds before. You didn't really hear a lot of Sean Murphy bunting to the Bucs and so forth, but I think moving forward, we might be seeing a lot of that with the Bucs in the first round, kind of Jason Light bringing in guys for visits and going opposite directions, kind of throwing smoke screens in other teams' faces. J-Lo, what say you to that? Are the Bucs going to be going the Elijah Kancey route moving forward? And to Gene's point, that'd be great if they did, because Elijah Kancey, a great talent who remained under the radar for far too long.
No, agreed. I mean, you can never have enough fat boys on the trenches part of the D line. I'm all about it. Depending on who we get, it doesn't matter. To me, you add more to the fat boy side. We would just resign William Gholston, who knows the defense,
Base eater.
great veteran, great voice in the locker room. You bring in another young talent either in the first, second, third, whatever round you want. It don't matter. At the end of the day, if we get a D lineman, and I could throw a couple of names, but we'll wait for that. But at the end of the day, you can never go with enough D linemen. You want to get pressure on the quarterback, which drove Topples insane. That he had a blitzing linebacker and plays zone. And to me, playing zone is not our best trait right now. We get beat every time. Blitzing a linebacker, blitzing whoever, when we should have them in coverage, on my opinion. So if we go D lineman to put with Vita Vea and Elijah Kancey, I'm all for it. Whether it's Newton or whether it's in the second round, grabbing a D lineman, I'll never ever turn away from a fat boy in the trenches, because that's what you need to get pressure to the quarterback.
And Neil is here, our guy. The people's champ is here. Huncho, speaking of champ, Elijah Kancey, a people's champ. Do you agree with us, A, that he's going to have a big year? And B, Huncho, do you think that the Bucs are going to take that approach moving forward, maybe keeping prospects under the radar heading into draft night?
Most definitely. I love Elijah Kancey in his game. I met him in the mall last year, and I was just hoping he could have started the season off, the right way with the proper training camp and everything like that. But being that he started late, he immediately took flight, and you've seen his potential. And as the year went on, he gradually just took big steps. And I think he's going to be a great contributor for the team for a while. Just like Gene said, I'm not going to say he's Aaron Donald yet, but he's Aaron Donald-ish. You get what I'm saying? So I think he's going to cause problems. And as far as your second question, I believe Jason Light, if none of those top picks, those D linemen that we've been clamoring for and trying to get, if they're off the board, Jason Light will take a guy that's under the radar. And as you see that, when he does those type of moves, they have yet to fail. I mean, he's done it in numerous rounds. We're reaping the benefits from that now.
And speaking of fail, fellas, I don't think Elijah Kancey is going to fail at all this year, but somebody who failed this offseason, as we are the Buccateers, but we talk all things football. We talk UFL, we talk NFL, we talk all of that good stuff. Seems like now there's about to be a hit piece posted by ESPN detailing the background of Bill Belichick and kind of trying to go into detail on why he didn't get that Falcons job and kind of almost exposing him to a point and kind of just going to Robert Kraft and playing kiss and tell. I don't really like this type of stuff, fellas. I don't like this type of journalism. I don't think it's great journalism. To me, if anything, these guys should really take a Raheem Morris type story and talk about how Raheem bettered himself to get this Falcons head coaching job, what Raheem did the past couple of decades to get the head coaching job. Not knock one of the greatest head coaches of all time in Belichick. Gene, we'll start with you. I see you ready to tap in. I don't know. Kind of pisses me off.
I'm gonna say this. 2020. Tom Brady came in here. Team he didn't know. And he took that team to the Super Bowl. What did Bill do? What were the draft picks looking like? What were the free agents looking like? How did they bolster this team to make this team competitive in that division, that they ran that division the whole time that Tom Brady was in place? If you sit back and look at,
Gene, I can't hear. Something happened to your audio, Gene. I think we'll get him back here shortly.
okay, sorry about that.
No, you're good, brother.
But his body of work speaks for itself. You don't have to say a whole lot about what did Bill Belichick do. All you have to do is look at what he did. He had Cam Newton in there. He's had a bunch of different quarterbacks in there. He made free agency moves, and it was not the same after Tom Brady left. And that's all I can say. And I think we talked about this earlier on in the offseason when you compared what Sean Payton was with Drew Brees versus a post Drew Brees Sean Payton. And that's all you have to do is really look at that. And he's had the keys to the car too, had the keys to the kingdom to do whatever he wanted to put this team in a position to win. And, at this point, he's not been able to do it. So I think the body of work speaks for itself. And that's all I can tell you. There you go. Richard talking about Mac Jones. Exactly. This is all I'm saying is, they talk about Bill Belichick and all the magic. Well, I can tell you this, they worked together it was a marriage that worked together for Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, but Tom Brady was able to come to another team that had not sniffed the playoffs, much less the Super Bowl, and turn this whole organization around, and we're still feeling the residuals from it. So, again, you can say what you want to about Bill Belichick. I think he was in the right place at the right time, and, that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, I don't doubt your opinion necessarily, Gene. I'm still not a fan of, articles attacking the guy and why he's not getting coaching jobs and things of that nature. Because at the end of the day, was it mainly because of Brady? You could maybe say that is true as well. But
I'm just telling you to make up your do your own research and make up your own mind on it. I'm not.
I do want to say this. Though. The year that Brady went down, they had a hell of a season with Matt Castle, who had very little experience at quarterback, never quarterbacked at the pro level, was actually a backup quarterback in college, ironically enough, at USC, didn't play a whole lot there. Brady went down. They went 11-5 that year, and they missed the playoffs, I believe. So kind of crazy there, And then I do want to say this. That team with Mac Jones at one point in time, I remember people said, hey, could Tom Brady meet Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl? Could this be a thing that year where the Patriots were playing really good? Obviously, they ended up losing in the wild card round, never regained their footing since. But there were a couple aspects where Bill Belichick had the boys buzzing. Obviously, as Gene said, there were some ugly times, and there's shout out to Olive, but were some ugly times with Bill. Bottom line, though, I'm not a big journalist fan of, bashing a guy. And to me, they're just getting Robert Kraft's side of the story here as well. And he has plenty of flaws. He has plenty of faults in that New England team. J-Lo, let's get your thoughts. I guess it's a couple ESPN heads putting this hit piece together on Belichick. What are your thoughts?
I mean, to me, it's all speculation. Yeah, you can go by reports and all that stuff. At the end of the day, Tom Brady did prove himself. He came here to a team that, like Gene said, never sniffed a playoff appearance in a long time, won a Super Bowl, while Bill Belichick brought in Cam Newton, couldn't do anything with them. Then the next year, they go to the wild card, get blown up by Buffalo, and they were never the same since. But back to Bill Belichick and the owner, I feel they had some differences. Remember, there were reports out that Bill Belichick wanted to trade Tom Brady away, said Jimmy Garoppolo, and Kraft said, no, we're not trading away Tom Brady. You trade Jimmy Garoppolo. Garoppolo goes to San Francisco, Brady's in New England, wins 2 more Super Bowls. To me, I feel like it was a long time coming between the owner and Bill Belichick. You can't take away from what he did in New England. Yeah, you can say Brady was a big accomplishment, but let's remember, Brady don't play defense.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to give Bill Belichick some of the flowers he's due for the defense he put together to help win championships. So Bill Belichick, I think he'll sit out a year, kind of, enjoy watching football, scouting.
And isn't that kind of backstabbing? Like, NFL's kind of a brotherhood. If the Patriots owner is calling the Falcons owner just because he found out that Bill Belichick was the front runner for the Falcons job. And then he called the Falcons owner, Arthur Blank, and told him, be careful, you can't trust Belichick, this, and this. To me, that's being a pansy. I think Robert Kraft is being a pansy right there, and I think that's a low jerk-off type maneuver from Robert Kraft personally. Hey, you don't like Belichick, that's one thing. You want to put this article out after he gets the job, that's one thing, but you hear a guy's a front runner for a place that won you, 6 Super Bowls in New England? I know Brady had a huge part in that, but come on. That's a little, backstabbery to me.
And I agree. I feel like Robert Kraft went overboard contacting Arthur Blank on making his decision on who their coach is. Yeah, you may have had a bad ending, but you still need to appreciate what this man did for you in your organization. Whether you have Brady or not, like I just mentioned, Brady don't play defense, and he's a well-respected coach to where players respected him. You can ask any player you want from the past on how they feel about Bill Belichick. To me, Kraft should take a recheck and appreciate what Belichick did.
He's probably at the massage parlor right now, Robert Kraft.
Maybe, but at the same time, though, Tones, he went to a different conference, a way different division, to contact Arthur Blank and tell him, hey, be careful what you ask for, be careful hiring him. Why would you say that when he brought you Super Bowls, AFC championships, history? And like I said, you go back to Brady. Yeah, Brady did his thing, but at the end of the day, it was a team effort. There's no I in team. It's a team effort. Brady plays offense. Belichick coaches the defense. So to me, I feel like Kraft was wrong in what he did. Me as a Bucs fan, I don't care for the Patriots. I don't care for the fans. But as a fan of the game, the owner should have just kept his mouth shut.
And I think I agree with.
I wanted Belichick to go to Atlanta.
Oh, he wouldn't.
Overrated.
He won the whole thing. I mean, Belichick wanted to, be the general manager and all that stuff. I can understand why Atlanta would not want to hire him because they don't want to trust him being a general manager.
Yeah.
The reason why they didn't hire him is because all their front office people felt threatened by Belichick, and they know they'd lose their jobs or at least their high power of jobs. And
Bill Belichick is an overrated coach, Tones.
He's not overrated. He's not overrated at all.
So you think he would have won that many championships without Tom Brady?
No, you think Brady would have won that many without Belichick? I mean,
it was a perfect marriage, bro. I'm going to step in here right now as the referee, separate you two. It was a perfect marriage. But I can tell you right now that they needed each other at that time. But what Tom Brady did with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you saw the track record, he came in here and proved his point.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's going to be up to Bill Belichick. His body of work isn't finished. His story is not finished being told. Let's see what he does. I have a hard time believing, just based on what he did pre-Tom Brady, compared to where he was post-Tom Brady. I want to see what he does now in just a different place and see if he can turn it all around. I think that it was the perfect marriage between a quarterback and a coach. They made some ferocious, everybody talks about Jason Light in the punter situation, but let's talk about what Bill Belichick did as a drafter, as picking up free agents.
Terrible.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Terrible track record.
So you think he takes a year off and comes back next year?
I think he's going to get hired in December by a team that fires their head coach this year, maybe the New York Giants. I think.
Well, I can see the Jets.
Yeah, maybe the Jets as well. And wouldn't that be something?
Wow.
Kind of crossing those lines and doing that. But I could see a team that, just is kind of overcoming a first-year head coach that either Jets or Giants, perfect examples, or maybe even the Bills, right? A team that's close, a team that's right there for and how crazy would be if he went to Buffalo or the Jets and then he plays New England a couple times a year? That would be pretty cool. As Richard says, Belichick was so good, defensive scheming, eliminating first, second, and third options. I mean, this guy was incredible, a true magician out there.
And again, he was, because I can remember him putting Aqib Talib on Jimmy Graham and shut his ass down. And I was like, I'd never seen that. But you got Aqib. He just like, hey, hold this guy down. And they shut Aqib Talib down, and that was it. I mean, just little things that he's done. I'm not knocking him. I'm just saying you have to put it in its proper context that they needed each other while they worked together.
They certainly did, and I don't think either of those guys win nearly as much as they do without each other. I do give the edge. This isn't a knock on Belichick. I give the edge to Brady slightly in terms of bigger factor, bigger importance to that team. But again, at the same time, he was a huge part of that. They did go 11-5 the year that Brady got hurt for the year, and they did go 10-7 once with Mac Jones at quarterback. So keep that in mind. Pretty hard to do there. But regardless, for better for worse, Bill Belichick is out of the game for at least this season. So it's going to be different stuff there. And going to be interesting. You don't have many of the OG coaches left, but Mike Tomlin, Andy Reid, and a couple of them. Speaking of Mike Tomlin, J-Lo, I think you got Pittsburgh's pick. Are you ready for pick number 20, brother?
I sure. With the Nets pick, with I believe is the 20th of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Graham Barton, offensive tackle, guard, Duke. At the end of the day, they had to build their offensive line to protect Russell Wilson or Justin Fields at quarterback. I feel like a receiver, they can go later in the rounds to get another receiver to help complement. I believe Perkins, his name Perkins from Pittsburgh, came from Georgia.
Oh, so yeah, George Pickens.
George Pickens, my mistake. Pickens. They could go receiver because Brian Thompson Jr. is off the board, who would have been my pick. They're going to go offensive line and get more protection for either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields on the offensive line, who's not really been great for a long time. That put Ben Roethlisberger in a retirement home. So give me Graham Barton, who can play, but yet he'll play center for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's how good I feel like this guy really is. He can play center, go in there and command the offensive line.
Yeah, and I love that pick, J-Lo. Speaking about love, I'm not sure if you guys have been keeping up with our ticker on the bottom there, but we are going to be doing something interesting and eventful here on the Buccateers this offseason and this season. The great Gene had a great idea. We're going to be having the beer of the Buccateers and Buck What You Heard podcast, the official sponsorship of the Buccateers and the Buck What You Heard. No, the official beer, not sponsorship. But we're going to let you guys be the judge. So shortly after the NFL draft commences, as the great Kyle Houston says, what up, boys? What up, Kyle? Thanks for joining us. We're going to have a little beer draft, no pun intended, of our own, and it's going to be led by you guys, the fans. You guys are going to nominate some beers for us, put it in. We'll get more details and stuff to come, but Gene, I'm very much excited for this idea.
Man, I think it's going to be fun. I mean, I try to do it with Buck What You Heard. I am biased about certain beers, but I'm trying to get out of that and kind of expand my view here. So I'm looking forward to it, and I hope the listeners can chime in. If you have a beer, if you're following me on Twitter, you have a beer, hit me up on the DM or whatever, or buckwhatyourheard@gmail.com, whatever. Get me those beers so we can get this bracket set up. But I know that everybody has their own favorites. And please, if it's one of those local craft beers, I'll do my best to see if we can get it. And if we can get it nationwide, it will be something that we can add to the list.
Yeah, J-Lo, I know you're a beer guy as well, so this will be fun. This is a great idea brought up by Gene. If it is a craft, we'll do our best, but try and make it at least a product available at most liquor stores or corner stores, whatever it might be, preferably if you can. J-Lo, thoughts on the beer draft quickly before we get to the Buccateers' upcoming schedule and our final words here on the program?
No, I mean, it's fun. I mean, who doesn't love beer these days? If you're a football fan, I'm not trying to say you have to drink beer to watch football, but most football fans like their beer, no matter what it is and all that stuff. I'm all for it. I mean, Gene, great idea, along with Tones, with the great minds put together.
Coming in with a with the ideas here.
Yeah,
I'm
we
like,
already got 2. We'll write those down as well. Guinness and Krokenberg. We could definitely do Guinness. We'll see about
Oh,
the
yeah.
Krokenberg if
Yeah.
that's available. So,
Yeah,
or
good one.
Cronenberg, I'm saying. I'm sorry.
Richard, I like his thinking too.
Yeah, Richard, now you got to give us free beer. You know, you bring it to the. No, I'm kidding.
I
Great
like
thought
your
there.
idea better, Tones.
Yeah, you
No,
know
but-
what? Real quick here, a cool beer I saw. I was on vacation, and I'm not crazy on Colin Coward, but I seen he had his own Pilsner out there, and I had to try it. It's called like the Draft Beer or something like that for fantasy. It was actually pretty decent. So I'm very much so looking forward to this. Speaking of looking forward, Buccateers schedule. Gene, I think you'll be doing a crazy takeover on Monday. Do you have any ideas at what time or what might be going on Monday?
It will be at 7 p.m. Eastern, and we'll be going through draft picks. I think that's the way to go, man. Just continue. This is the way. And we will do the hot seat challenge. We'll see if we can possibly get a special guest on to either give their expertise or, just come in and join and hang out with us, chop it up, drink a beer, whatever. I think it'll be fun.
I think that'll be incredible. And, that's why I love the Buccateers combining with Buck, what you heard and all this good stuff.
Yeah.
I love when Gene takes over. Still, you get J-Lo, Huncho appearances, all the Buccateers just putting their brains together. The show goes beyond me. The show goes on if I'm here or I'm not. And that's what I love, man. It's just great to see. Great, beautiful thing. And not that, never had a problem with it in the past, but it's like, I go on vacation before. It's like, damn, no pod for maybe a week or something like that. Now it's like, Gene, J-Lo, Huncho, you guys want to fill? Sure, absolutely. And it's just great to see. And Gene brings the heat. J-Lo brings the heat. Hunch, I don't know if you'll be there on Monday. You might have porn to watch.
Yes, I will.
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah, you're starting to scare me with no screen. Just keep your hands where we can see him on Monday,
you don't
right?
want to see what's going on over here, I tell you that.
Yeah, evidently not after what's been going on.
You're
Joey
gonna have to
Nips,
put Gene on a payroll, Tones.
Joey Nips on there. Yeah, we pay him in draft beer. That's how we're paying him. We're gonna be sending him the keg by the hour. So
I want to let you know that we will have Dolphin 72, the Miami Dolphins super fan. She's going to come on with us and hang out. And this will be after the draft. And, just give her thoughts on, what the Dolphins are going to look like. I've always believed in please don't crucify me for saying this, but I believe in women in sports. I believe that, they have a voice as well as everybody else in a male dominated, what we will say arena. And it's really good to get their perspective on a lot of things because, sometimes it's great. And, I've been following her. I follow a lot of the Bills fans, the Dolphins fans, and, it's a microcosm. The NFL is a microcosm of the world. And it's great to get other people's perspectives. And again, I've seen this firsthand where a female will make a comment about something and she gets crucified because of her gender. And I just don't think it's right. I think that there are women out there, especially if you go and look at the Bolts fans, the women in the Tampa Bay Lightning, they're incredible. They know more than a lot of your average guys out there. So again, it's good to get different perspectives on there. And I've welcomed her on, and she's going to help us to possibly get other guests on as well. But I really want to see more, female, the female voice involved with the NFL.
And that's Casey Hudson, Gene. She's a great Lightning reporter. She does great stuff for the Lightning. She's one of the smartest hockey.
Well, I'm talking about the fans. Casey Hudson is amazing, but if you talk about fans can break down hockey. Some of these.
Well, I think she started as a fan. Maybe I could be wrong on that, but.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've got some friends that are, real good Lightning fans, and we may try to get her on as well.
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I love talking sports with the ladies, and they definitely belong in the place of sports. That's for sure. Is sports are a great thing. Talking with men or ladies, and we're talking here on the Buccateers. You guys are watching live on YouTube, where you guys could stream the replay at Apple, Spotify, Google, or so much more. But throughout the draft and after, be on the lookout for the Buccateers, whether it's me, Gene, whoever's in the driver's seat. We're going to continue with our great guest, get some great ladies on, get some great fans on the show, just have a lot of fun. That's what we do here. We have some fun. We interact with people. We love taking questions. We love talking with you guys. Feel free if you guys want to tweet us, text us, call, whatever the hell it might be, unless it's 2 a.m., then I probably won't answer. But reach out to me, man. I'll talk to any of you guys or girls any time of the day about some Bucks ball or other sports, wrestling, whatever the hell it might be. We do have Impact coming up, so I want to make an impact here and bring up our final words. Huncho, I know we can't see your hands, but maybe we could hear your words, brother. What's some final words you got, Huncho, as we're looking at that great Derek Brooks creamsicle of yours?
I love that jersey, man.
I do as well.
I thank y'all. I appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all putting up with me and the great ideas, the shows headed in the right direction, and I'm excited this year to see what new heights we can reach, man.
As Pepin Steppin says, he loves him some Pam Oliver. I'll give a shout out to one of my favorite women, and I mean, there's plenty great women in sports. So even, Lisa Ann, what a remarkable turnaround she made. She went from doing videos to being one of a smart fantasy football lady in the world of sports. But if I had to give shout out to one gal in the world of sports, obviously Casey Hudson is fantastic, and there's a lot of good ones. I used to be a big Sage Steele fan as well back in the day. Michelle Tafoya, she did some great work too back in the day. You could keep going on and on and on. Pam Oliver, as Donnie Pepin mentioned, and you got a couple good ones with the Bucks as well. I'm going to give I love Casey Phillips too. So Casey, this ain't a knock on you. You do some great work with the Bucks. But if I were to give a kudos to woman in sports for my final word, Brianna Dix, she just started writing for the Bucks last year, covering the Bucks last year. She's an official employee of the Bucks. She does some tremendous stuff. If those are unfamiliar, look up Brianna Dix. She covers the Bucks just as good, if not better, than a lot of the guys do. So she's right up there with the best of them. And if I were to shout out a fan right now, a very good lady fan of the game, obviously my gal Olivia is a tremendous fan of the game. But if I'm just shouting out somebody as J-Lo's doing the great tribal stuff, but if I were to shout out a fan of the game, honestly, there's a very smart gal, and I don't think she's a football fan, but she's a Rays fan. Drawing a blank on me. I do follow her on X, right? But she's had some great baseball tweets so far this year. I'll think of it. I'll bring her back up as my final word, but I just started following her. Oh, her name is Bianca Mercedes. She's a big Rays fan. She does a great job on Twitter, making her voice heard for not only the Rays, but the game of baseball. She was actually tweeted about the Super Bowl because she's a fan of Taylor Swift. So good stuff to see over there. And really another smart lady in the game, Bianca Mercedes. If you want to follow her, it's Bianca Mercedes.
I'm looking right now.
Yep, Bianca Mercedes is a smart one for baseball. And then Brianna Dix covers the Bucks greatly over there. Pillow lady for the Bucks. Not sure who that is, but J-Lo, final word for the program today, brother. Another fun one.
Oh, it's a fun one. Chopping up with my brothers, man. It's a great day in Tampa Bay. We're getting closer to the draft. I mean, and Lightning playoff for hockey fans. We got the Lightning playing Sunday early, which is good. I'm all for it. And by the way, I love the hat tones. Good hat game. But at the end of the day, I mean, we're getting closer to the draft, fellas. Closer to football season. We're going to have some new Butts rookies on the roster come next week. I'll be in Chicago with Tone, chopping it up for day 3 of the draft. And, stay safe, folks. Stay blessed.
I think we should go live and you guys should join on your phones.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
I will. Trust me, I will. Like I said, I'm traveling. I'm chopping up with Tone and his brother Joey, some of the fam over there. By the end of the day, hopefully we'll all get together soon, man. Like I said, we got a great group of Bucks fans in here.
We got to make that happen. Buccateers get together. We're going to end with the great Gene for the final word. Beer, what? TV, what? Impact, what? Stunner, what? Gene, take her away. Take her home. Always a pleasure with you, my man.
Hey, I have to say, I like how we're trying to involve everybody, and this is a beautiful thing. There's enough room for everybody, to be honest. Shout out to Ruth the Truth. Happy birthday. Keep doing your thing. Really appreciate how she's out there covering the Tampa Bay Lightning. And honestly, guys, this is exciting for me. I have zero expectations. It's going to be fun to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go to work, that front office do what they do every year, and let's get some guys in here and elevate this team and put this team in a position to win some games. And let's go to the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Let's do it. I can't wait. As Gene said, let's get some people in here to get us to the Super Bowl. Like Gene Deckeroff, who helps us win every year. Touchdown Tampa Bay. Shout out to the woman in sports. We got all the great ones. Miami fan. We got Ruth the Truth, the birthday girl. We got Bianca. We got Brianna. We got all the great ones. But man, my Gene Deckeroff ain't the best, but I'll keep working at that. It's always fun with you guys, and I will be out Monday, but make sure you guys are in Monday, 7 o'clock Eastern on Buck What You Heard and Buccateers YouTube channels. You guys can catch J-Lo, Gene, maybe Huncho if his hands are free. He's tying up a lot of things nowadays. But guys, always a pleasure. I hate to cut it short, but I got a pack for Mexico. Tones is Vamos la Mexico. So, fellas, it's always a pleasure. It's always a great time. And reminder, tonight's draft picks went Troy Fatanu to Seattle, Brian Thomas Jr. to Jacksonville, Brock Bowers to the Bengals, Byron Murphy II to the Rams, and Graham Barton to Pittsburgh. For you Cubs fans tuning in, Cubs are rained out tonight as well. Bummer over here. Rays won today, Lightning won yesterday. Good stuff all around. And then you got Impact Wrestling on tonight as well. So great day to be a sports fan. I'm Tampa Tones, joined by the great Gene, Huncho, J-Lo, by the awesome guest Cleve and Me Zone, Joey Nips, and for Bucko the Bruce, Stunna, and Kat being out of the building tonight. We miss you guys as always. Don't drink faucet water in Mexico. I know, brother. I know. I'm not going to do that. I've been there before, and I've heard the same thing.
Free tacos are fire, though.
Yeah, I'm going to get some taco. Man, Tampa Tones might be looking like Taco Tones when I'm back on Tuesday. But regardless, you gentlemen enjoy your weekend and enjoy the show Monday. I'll be watching from Mexico. Very excited about that.
I'll see you Monday, Gene.
All right, let's make it happen.
See you guys, and thanks again, fellas. Everyone be blessed, be safe, have a great weekend, but start it right with a great Thirsty Thursday. Fire the damn cannons. Go Bucks and go Woman in Sports. We love you guys. Until next time, Monday on the Buccateers and on Buck What You Heard, 7 p.m. Eastern with the great Gene. You guys, see you on the Lido. Stay blessed. Fire the damn cannons. Game on Sunday, man. I know you're nervous for the Rams, but you got to be a little enthusiastic after being there.
Bro, that game atmosphere was ridiculous. The energy, the electricity. That place was rocking. Anyone was there, and a lot of the Super Buck fans were there too. The Buck.
Tampa Tones. We are joined by lead goon tonight, host of the Pat and Aaron Show of WDAE, Pat Donovan. And it sounds like Stunna is bumbling a little bit. Going to put him on mute for a second until that gets a little clear. But we're joined by Pat
It looks like
Donovan.
Stunna's hanging out with Cheech and Chong in a car with the windows up or something over there.
It does look like we got a little...
No, my camera's broke.